Hey everyone, today's Monday. Happy Monday. I'm really excited to be with you all. My name is Janelle Villiers. I am your host of the Other Side podcast, where I talk about two of my favorite topics. One is the journey that we're all on for all the people who are out there who are authors, aspiring authors. Welcome. Hello. And for those of you that love talking about mental health issues and being on this journey of mental health and how can we maintain and manage it and all of that, I love to talk about that too. So hello, welcome. Today I'm really excited though, because we are going to be talking on the Other Side podcast today about a particular topic that came to my attention. A couple of people have been talking to me about it and asking me about it. And so I'm really excited to talk about this. When people come to me and they say, I have no time to write, how can I find the time to write my book if I have no time? Like, please explain this. How is it supposed to work? I get it. We all live super busy lives. It feels like when are we ever going to get the time to actually sit down, focus, and write the book? Hey, Darren. And so I really wanted to spend some time actually talking about how that works. What that looks like, some different tips and tools that you can actually put in your tool belt to pull out when you're ready to actually get this done. Because here's the thing, that book that you want to write, it's not going to get done unless you write it, which means you're going to have to take some time. You're going to have to take some time and actually write this thing. So let's get to it. Here's some tips that I have that I thought would be helpful for you guys. So number one, I wanted to talk about my counterintuitive approach to finding writing time in a really packed schedule. So the first tip for that is basically a time tracking revelation. So you track all the different activities that you do for 3 days. And when you do that, what you're looking for are hidden pockets of times or hidden time pockets. And basically, these are low value activities that are consuming surprising amounts of time in your day, right? You can actually have your phone clock you and check how many minutes you're spending on certain apps and things like that. But it's basically, you're trying to identify hidden time pockets, or these are basically low value activities consuming a surprising amounts of time. And what you do is you convert these passive times. This could be commuting, waiting in line, waiting to see the doctor, waiting for the oven to warm up, whatever that is. But you basically turn those times into active writing times. So track your day, figure out where those hidden time pockets are, and then convert them into writing. The second thing that you can do to find writing time in a packed schedule is micro session writing. So you gotta, first of all, abandon this myth that you're gonna need these large blocks of time. Like, oh, I'm gonna write for 24 hours straight, or I'm just gonna go somewhere to a cabin somewhere and seclude myself and just write for days and days and hours and hours. Who's got time for that? Nobody. So let's talk about some other things that you can do. You can abandon that myth and then instead use 10 to 15 minute writing sprints throughout the day. And it's funny because on my recent masterclass, we did this. I was like, okay, you guys have 5 minutes to write a story based on these prompts. And people were shocked how much they could write in 5 minutes. So when you give yourself a very strict, short amount of time, you can actually push through, because all of a sudden you're really intensely focused on that thing. And what I would say for those 10 to 15 minute moments or sprints, you can focus on a paragraph at a time. I'm just going to write this one paragraph in these 10 to 15 minutes that I have, rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to write an entire chapter, just this paragraph. That's all I got, right? But if you sprinkle those throughout your day and throughout your week, next thing you know, you have 3 paragraphs in a day, 3 paragraphs in a day over multiple days. Now you have 2 chapters, right? Okay. The other way that you can fit in writing in your busy schedule, or the third way, is the backward schedule method. So basically you schedule writing first. I call this prioritizing the writing. You schedule it first, then fit in the other activities around it. So you just block 20 minutes. And then directly after that writing block of 20 minutes, then you start putting in all of your other daily habits. And then you use transition moments between the activities as writing opportunities as well. So this is what it looked like for me. I would wake up 20 minutes earlier a day when I was in this writing time. Again, this is not forever, just a season of when I was writing. 20 minutes earlier a day. And then I would get up, brush my teeth, wash my face, and then write. And the minute I was finished with those 20 minutes, and it was crazy because then you think like, oh, 20 minutes is so hard. But then like 20 minutes, you're like, oh my God, I went so fast. And the harder part was actually to stop writing and then immediately go into my next activity. For me, that's exercise. So before this, my mornings look like I wake up in the morning, I get up, I immediately start doing exercises after washing my face and brushing my teeth, right? So I immediately do it because the minute the rest of my day starts, I'm not doing any of those things. I'm not writing and I'm not exercising because the day has now gone away from me. And I have all these other things and all these other things that are taking my attention. I got to do this and I got to do that, right? And I never get it done. So for me, that's what that looked like. And then if there are any downtimes, of course, then you can, of course, add one of those writing sprints, right? So those are 3 different ways that you can actually find time writing in your packed and busy schedule. So now let's talk about a productivity system that really helped me write consistently, despite a lot of the chaos that was going on in my life, particularly it was COVID and then later during my business life. So doing like a preparation power up. So basically create ultra specific scenes or section notes right before you actually start writing. So I had very detailed like outlines. Okay, this is exactly what I want this to look like. And then I went in and started putting some more details. And so for each session that you write, you have like bullet pointed out like what you want to write about essentially. So you eliminate this like, oh, what should I write about? That writer's block. You essentially get rid of that because instead of thinking, what should I write about? You already have the bullets about what you want to write. The second thing is I use this progress minimum way. So essentially, I established a non-negotiable daily minimum. You guys heard it. Really and truly, it was 20 minutes. A lot of times it turned into 30, but 20 minutes. And then I built a habit of consistency over quantity. So I just was like, okay, I'm going to do the 20 minutes. I didn't measure many words or how many pages or anything like that. I just knew I was going to consistently put in 20 minutes, no matter what that looked like at the end. And then, like if you use this like streak psychology method, it's a way to maintain momentum because it's like, oh, look at me. Like I've done this now 3 days in a row, now 4 days in a row. Like you've got the streak going. You don't want to mess with the streak. And so you just keep doing it. And that's a very psychological way to build in positive habits. This is also what Duolingo uses, by the way, for all those Duolingo users out there. And then finally, the mobile writing ecosystem. So set up synchronized writing tools across all devices. So create templates and shortcuts for quick startups anywhere you are. So if you're, working out in the morning, right before you work out in the morning, ideal. But let's say you're like, crap, I can't do that. And so now you're commuting, or now you're waiting at the doctor's office to get seen by the doctor, or waiting for your kids to get in the car. You essentially set up different things on your phone, whether it's your audio recording or whatever it is. So that way you create this like ready to write at any moment in time, right? So these mobile writing ecosystems are really helpful. Okay, so now let's talk about how to protect your writing time when everything fights for your attention. I don't know if you can relate to this. So if you can relate to this, please put a R in the chat to let me know that you can relate. This is the thing. But essentially, I squirrel all the time. Squirreling right now, just to make sure I'm keeping in touch with my Instagram folks, as well as the people on YouTube and Facebook. So things pull my attention away all the time. And one of the things that I really love doing actually is I do what's called like a communication firewall. And basically I create automatic responses during my writing time. So if anyone were to text me or anything, you do the automatic, like, I'm driving right now, let me call you back. You can actually change it to say like, I'm writing right now, let me call you back. Oftentimes I would put my phone on airplane mode. So that way people immediately get an unavailable status. And just making clear boundaries with specific timelines that you have put in place to help you writing. The other thing that I do to help with the like, I turn, when it's in airplane mode, that means that no social media alerts also come onto your phone. When the social media alerts are not ping, 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 there's no attention grabbing because it's not pinging. There's nothing pinging on your phone. Something else that I would do is also just turn it upside down, to be quite honest. Because sometimes even if it's on airplane mode, you still have this tendency to kind of look, because we've all just kind of become addicted to that, like, oh, just kind of like looking. So I even do that as well. An environment trigger. So you can create a dedicated writing space. Sometimes it could even be a portable one, but use consistent sensory cues. So it's the same music, or it's the same scent, or some sort of ritual that you always do in order for you to feel like, okay, this is where I'm writing now. For me, it was a place. I always wrote at the same place. That was for me the most useful. So I created like a physical environment. And then the next thing is the strategic no. So develop specific phrases for declining non-essential requests. This can be really hard for some of us out there. I'm going to steal from mentor Josh Valentine, who would say, look, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Or if it's not a heck yes, it's a heck no. You can also practice like a delayed yes for really important things, but maybe you need like more flexible commitments. That's something else that you can put into play. I want to do this, but I need more time, right? So allowing people to recognize that you need more time to do certain things, even if it's a heck yes, right? And then create substitute options for others when you're declining. So I can't do X, but Y might work, right? So that's the same kind of thing, making it flexible. Like I can't commit to this completely, but I can, if we like extend the timeline, or if we say that we can do this in a longer span of time, right? So can't do X, but I can do Y. So these are things that you can practice saying to yourself. So those are really excellent tips for how to prevent the like attention grab, the squirreling, all of that. So finally, I want to wrap us up with the mindset shift that really helped me turn the no time into finishing the manuscript. One, there was an identity revolution. So I shifted from finding time to write to I am a writer who prioritizes writing. That mind shift right there was huge for me. I think I didn't see myself as a writer. And so I was just like, oh, I'm trying to find the time to do this like extra thing. But the minute I identified, I'm a writer. And you know what writers do? They prioritize their writing, right? So that was a huge frame shift for me. And so I highly encourage people to use that if that's really helpful. So basically writing becomes an essential instead of an option. And you start to really associate missed writing sessions with identity discomfort. And again, that's just going to help you keep on track. So that's like a psychological hack to keep you on track for writing. The second tip is the progress visualization. So you create visible progress tracking systems, and then you celebrate these micro achievements. So rather than just like, oh, these major milestones that you've accomplished, you can create these like visual cues for when you do something small. So like a win the day. I know a lot of people who win the day and they have like a certain list of things that they do. And it's like, check, 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 prayed, wrote, exercised when I won the morning, right? And so like, woo, let's go, right? And that like is a really big mental boost, right? To know that you actually did something. You had this mini or this micro milestone and you achieved it. It feels really good, believe me. And then finally, the perfectionism antidote. Really and truly, you have to embrace the rough draft thinking. When you have a super busy schedule, there's no way that your manuscript that you're going to push out there in the world is going to be perfect. It's just not. This is literally why you hire editors, because it's not going to be perfect. So don't worry about writing something that's perfect. Just write the rough draft. Just know that you're writing a rough draft, and it's going to be a crappy first draft. All first drafts are crappy. That's just what it is. But if you don't get anything out there, then you have nothing to edit. Then you have nothing to actually put out in the world. So use time constraints as permission to write imperfectly. So write in these small time frames and just know that you're going to do it imperfectly. All right, so let's recap. You guys know I love recapping. By the way, if this is really helpful for you, or if you're getting a lot of value from this, put a V in the comments so I know that this is helpful. If you find yourself to be a busy first-time author, you have a busy schedule, put a B for busy in the comments so I know I'm not the only one. That would also really be helpful. Okay, so for the wrap up, if you came on late, this is what we've been talking about. We've been talking about how do you find time to write with such a really busy schedule. So first, we talked about counterintuitive approaches to finding writing time in a really packed schedule. The first tip is time tracking. So track all the things that you've been doing in like a 3-day period and find these times where you're not really doing a lot, but they're surprisingly sucking a lot of time out of your day. And then convert those passive times into active writing time. So these are things like commuting, waiting online, waiting for your kids to get in the car, things like that. The second thing when you have a really busy schedule is to use micro session writing. So instead of thinking you're going to write for an hour or 2 hours, think I'm going to write for 10 to 15 minutes, super small, and just jam-packed 10 to 15 minutes and write just anything that you can. Don't think you're going to write pages. You think paragraph. I'm going to write one paragraph during this 10 to 15 minutes. Boom. Believe me, you do that over and over again, you're going to get to your book. And then the backwards scheduling method, which basically means you're going to schedule your writing first before any of the other activities get in the way of your day. Okay, the second thing that we talked about is the productivity system that helped me write consistently, despite all the chaos going on in my life. And so there's like a preparation power up that I use. So create an ultra specific scene with a lot of notes, a lot of detailed notes or bullet points. So that way, when you're ready to write, you just write. You're not like, oh, what am I going to write about now? No. You have bullets and like an actual outline for what you're going to write today, right? Think about the progress minimum. So think about not so much, okay, I'm going to get a chapter a day. I'm going to get a certain number of words today. Just set the time. Honestly, that tends to be a healthier way to look at it and say like, look, I'm going to write for 20 minutes. I don't care how much it is. I'm just going to do it for 20 minutes, right? But do it consistently. And then the mobile writing ecosystem. So just make sure that you set up your phone essentially for being able to write when you're on the go. So you're just basically synchronizing a lot of tools, whether that's an audio to text tool that you have, or maybe it's like a way in which you can access your manuscript from your phone. Google Docs is a really great way to do that. So just making it mobile, making it really accessible to do on the go, on the fly. All right. So how do you protect your writing time when basically everything is fighting for your attention, right? A lot of squirrel moments. I can completely relate to that. So put up a communication firewall, right? Put your phone on airplane mode, create an automatic response. Like instead of, hey, I'm driving right now, it's like, hey, I'm writing right now, right? Establish clear boundaries for specific times where you're writing. Create an environment trigger. So create a distinctive writing space. It could be certain music that you play, a scent, maybe it's a candle or incense that you burn, or maybe it's a particular ritual that you do. Whatever it is, make like an environment that triggers you. Okay, now it's time to write. And then make sure that you're telling people no. If it's not a heck yes, it's a heck no. And if saying no is really difficult for you, you can do alternatives like, I can't do X, but I can probably do Y, right? Create a flexibility mindset around all of that. And then finally, we talked about the mindset shift that turned no time into a finished manuscript for me. And the biggest thing is instead of me being like, oh, every once in a while I find time to write, it was, no, I am a writer who prioritizes writing, because that's what writers do. Writers write. And so I'm a writer. I am an author. That identity shift was huge for me. So I can't say this enough or emphasize it enough. Really and truly start to identify yourself as a writer. It's a big deal. You are, because you are a writer, you are an author, and you're going to get that best-selling book out there. Can't wait to read it. The second tip was visualizing your progress is really helpful. So like a lot of people do win the days and win the mornings. And so in my win the day was writing, right? And I was able to check, something about checking that off. Seeing that was like very soothing. Okay. And then remember, it's not going to be perfect. Just start to adapt the mantra that your first draft is crappy. You're not out here to write an amazing, perfect first draft. Again, that's what editors are for. Hi, I can be one of your editors. So just remember, perfectionism is not the goal, especially with your first draft of your manuscript. Okay, so hopefully this was really helpful. I see some V's in the chat. These are great. Thanks, Winston. I really am excited for all of you authors that are going to be out there writing your new books. We're really excited to read them. I can't wait to hear about it and let me know, because I want to support as best I can. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I will see you next week. Bye.